Hey everyone, we've all been in that spot, right? You're looking at a source and you're thinking, how do I use this without, crossing the line? Well, that line is called plagiarism, and it is a huge deal for anyone creating original work. So today, we're going to break it all down. What it is, why it's so serious, and most importantly, how you can steer clear of it.
So, you probably think you have a pretty good handle on plagiarism. It's just a simple copy-paste job, right? Well, it turns out it's actually way more nuanced than that. We're about to get into some of those gray areas that can trip up even the most careful and well-intentioned people.
Now, I love this quote because it just cuts right through all the stuffy academic language. It frames plagiarism for what it really is. It's not just a mistake. It's an ethical problem. It's about theft and it's about deception. And thinking about it that way, right from the get-go, is really powerful.
All right, so let's dive in. First things first, we need to get a crystal clear foundational definition of what we're actually talking about here.
So here it is, the formal definition, and it really backs up that idea of theft we just saw. But listen to the key phrases here: work or ideas, and without full acknowledgement. This is so important. It means it's not just about stealing the exact words, it's about stealing the thinking, the ideas behind them, without giving credit. And this slide just lays out the fundamental difference perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the right way to do it. You take in the information, you process it, you put it in your own words, and then you point back to where you got it from. On the right, you have the wrong way. A direct lift, no credit given. One is how good, honest work is done. The other, well, that's just a serious breach of integrity.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Plagiarism isn't just this one single act. It actually shows up in a few different forms, and honestly, some of them might surprise you. So let's break down the four main types.
First up, we've got the one everybody knows, direct plagiarism. This is the most obvious, the most blatant form. You are literally taking someone else's sentences, word for word, and passing them off as your own. There is zero ambiguity here. It's a direct copy, and it's a huge problem.
Now for a big one that trips a lot of people up: self-plagiarism. I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, how can I steal from myself? It's my own work. Well, it all comes down to transparency. If you write a paper for one class, you can't just turn around and submit that same paper for another class pretending it's new work. In the world of research, this is a major no-no because it misleads people about your contributions.
Next, we have what's called Mosaic plagiarism. You might have heard of it as patchwork writing. This is when someone kind of snips phrases and sentences from a few different places, changes a word here and there, and then weaves it all together. The problem is, even if you make a few small changes, if the core ideas and the structure of the sentences aren't yours and you don't cite them, it's still plagiarism. And finally, there's accidental plagiarism. This can happen from just being careless. Maybe you forgot to write down where you got a note from, or you just got the citation rules mixed up. But here is the really scary part. Your intent doesn't always matter. In a lot of schools and workplaces, the act itself is the problem, whether you meant to do it or not.
So, okay, we now know what plagiarism is, and we know the different shapes it can take. But why is it such a massive deal? Let's talk about the real-world consequences, because believe me, the stakes are incredibly high.
The fallout can be absolutely devastating. In school, you could be looking at a failing grade or even getting expelled. In the legal world, it can actually be copyright infringement. Professionally, it can completely destroy your reputation. And for researchers, entire studies can get retracted, basically erasing that work from existence.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract, oh, this could happen kind of thing. It's real. People's entire careers get derailed by this. A brilliant scientist with a super promising future had it all taken away because of plagiarism. It's a sobering reminder that these rules absolutely have teeth.
Okay, that was all pretty heavy, I know. But here's the good news. Plagiarism is 100% avoidable. So let's shift gears and build your personal toolkit, a set of simple, straightforward strategies to protect your work and, more importantly, your integrity.
It really all boils down to these three simple but incredibly powerful principles. 1. Use your own words. 2. Give credit where credit is due. And 3. Understand that just swapping out a few words here and there is not enough.
You know, the best defense against plagiarism is a great offense. That means focusing on developing your own ideas and your own unique writing style. And when you do need to use someone else's work, you've got to paraphrase it properly. That doesn't mean just changing a few words. It means truly understanding the concept and then explaining it entirely in your own words and sentence structures.
this one is completely non-negotiable. If an idea didn't start in your own head, you have to cite where it came from. If you're using someone's exact words, put them in quotation marks and add a citation. If you adapt a chart or paraphrase an idea, you still need that citation. The rule of thumb is so simple. When in doubt, just cite it.
And this is a super important point. Making tiny, superficial changes does not make the work yours. Swapping fewer for less, flipping a sentence around, or changing the colors on a chart, that's still using the original creator's hard work. If the underlying idea, the structure, the data is the same, you've got to give credit. All right, last section. Even when you have the best intentions, mistakes can slip through. But thankfully, we've got technology that can act as a final safety net. Let's look at some of the tools you can use to give your work that one last check.
I bet a lot of you have heard of Turnitin, but there are a ton of these amazing tools out there. Authenticate, Grammarly, QuestText, and PlagScan, just to name a few. Basically, think of them like a search engine for originality. They scan your text and compare it against billions of websites and academic articles to flag any sentence that might be a little too close to an original source.
And this right here? This is just best practice. It's what the pros do. Before submitting a really important paper, running it through one of these tools isn't a sign that you did something wrong. It's a sign of diligence. It's your final quality control check to make sure you didn't accidentally miss a citation.
So when it all comes down to it, avoiding plagiarism isn't just about following rules to avoid getting in trouble. It's about protecting your credibility, your reputation, and your single most valuable asset, your own integrity. So the real question you have to ask is, are you protecting yours?